G'day guys, Andy Thomas from Wolf on the Run. We had a couple of dramas a couple of weeks back, the wife and I, or me and the missus, wherever you come from in the world, depends how you say it. I took her on the back of the bike with the Givy panniers, and she got a bit of a numb leg on the left hand side with the bigger box. It was digging into her. So we've bought some foot peg raisers, or raisers with a foot peg, risers, whatever you want to call them. So it just lifts the foot up a little bit so the back of the leg is not digging into the box. So all we're going to do is install them today. Alright guys, so that's the fending object. As you can see, it's quite a big pannier, and here with the legs over the side of the bike onto the foot peg there, because she's only short. The span between here and here I think was 470 millimeters, which isn't enough, just needs that little bit of extra. They're new bars as well, so these will lift up 40 mil and come across, so it'll lift the leg up high enough to clear this here. I did contemplate getting rid of it, not the panniers, obviously, the wife I meant, because you know my panniers are fantastic. But anyway, yeah, so we're going to install these. Alright guys, so there's nothing to take in these off, there's just a split pin underneath which I'll pull. Let's try and grab that. Cut the head off it because they're only tiny and I'm going to replace them anyway. Once you take these off and bend them straight, and they do weaken, so it's advisable to replace them once you take them off. Alright, so I've got the pin out. Take a little washer off the back, and you've got to watch inside here now because this is spring loaded inside. There is a plate inside there, you can see the pin come out. Spring is in there, show you that. So I took the pin out, and there's a spring inside there with a ball bearing which creates that load, and then there's a secondary plate inside there as well. So I'll show you what I've took off inside here. Alright guys, so this is what I've took off. That's obviously the foot peg. You can see inside there's a secondary hole. That's where the spring went, and on top of there was a ball bearing. That's the thing that, obviously you got the spacer washer, your pin, and that plate that I showed you. That spring washer is obviously the thing that holds the peg up and down, just gives that bit of pressure, goes into either one of those holes to lock it up, lock it back down. So we're going to reuse them so we can continue locking the peg out of place. Alright, I'm going to clean them up. I just use a bit of turpentine, just put it on a rag and just wipe all the old grease off. It works perfect. Alright guys, so as you see, the old cotter pin, split pin, I've got two new ones I'm going to replace with. And as you can see on the old grip foot pegs, it's the same. It's got the hole, the central hole, and then obviously on the other side it's just got the one. So the bearing and spring will go back in there, so we can still do the same. We've got the razors or risers, the bolts that go with them. These little locking pins go inside these little holes here, and then go inside that cog on there. So basically once you've set it where you want it, you slot the pins in and the pins lock it so the pressure holds it down, and then these little pegs on the end obviously bolt through from the long disc through there. You put the bolt through there, which locks onto that part. Alright, so I'll put one together. I'm going to put them straight up, the 40 mil straight up. You can get these in 25 mil risers as well, but I opted for the 40 mil because, like I say, the wife's only a little short bit. Alright guys, these pegs are made by a company called Fire Rider. They were $60, and that was including the postage here to Australia. So we're going to replace them, these, with them. Alright guys, so I'm going to put these together. I've got to work it out left-handed, right-handed. Obviously, as I say, 45 degrees offset from there, so it's got to come up and make sure I'm on the right run. There's left-handed, right-handed, so I'm just going to play with this, get them all set up and go from there. Alright guys, so it took a little bit of messing around obviously to get the angles and correctness, but that looks like it's completely wrong. But I've tried it on the bike and it's at 45 degrees. It's raised it straight up rather than going backwards or forwards. That's just lifted it straight up. So I'll put that one together, trial and error. But now I'll go through the other one, putting it together, just so you know how to do it. Right, so what we're trying to do is obviously make the opposite hand of that one. So I'm going to leave that one there so I can see, because you've got to get that there. Put these little pegs into here. There's two of those pegs go in. Those little pins. They go into there. So when you put that onto there, it's got like a ratchet that locks it as well as when you tighten it up. So it's not going to come loose. Alright, so that's got those pins on there. Let's duplicate that for that way, which is like that. So we've got the same angle. Yep. So that's in that notch. I'm going to put a bit of lock seal inside there. Put the screw in. There in your pup. That's that one done that way. As you can see, opposite hand, the ball bearing slots are on that side with the springs. So now we've got to put that foot peg on there. So we have the bolt and washer that will go through the inside of there, drop through the hole like so. I'm now going to put some Loctite on that thread. Put that on there. Obviously these are round pegs, so these don't matter which way they go. Obviously there is ones where you can get them flat. They're slightly dear. I think those about $75–80, which is a flat peg, which is similar to your foot pegs as a driver. But obviously I just wanted small ones, just took them up out the way when I don't need them. If you've got a pillion all the time, then that might be good for you, so they've got more of a foot plate. Actually, I'll stick a photo up so you can actually see where they are, what I'm on about. But they'll be ideal if you've got pillion all the time, but I'm not. So that's basically it. That's the pair. So they're razors of 40mm. Alright, we'll put those on the bike. Alright guys, excuse my big hands if they're in the way, but we're going to put it back together. Put that plate in there first off. Just make sure all the muck's off it. So that goes in there. I'll put a little bit of grease on it. Some fresh grease. Just, obviously don't get moved, but it helps me to hold it in place, as you can see. So again, we've got the spring. Bit of brief grease on the spring, drop that into the hole, and then a bit of grease on the top of there, which will hold the ball bearing. Now the awkward part is getting that into the gap under pressure, like so. Alright guys, I just stopped there because that was a little bit fiddly with the bearing, but I'll show you on the other one what I come up with. Just put this pin in if I can see, excuse my head. There we go. Alright guys, so it's sorry about that, a little bit of fiddling about. I put the pin in, As you can see, that now works. I'll put the washer on the back and the new cotter pin. As I say, it's wise to put new cotter pins in, because once you've bent them, straightened them out, done them again, you are weakening it. You've got a chance of it dropping off. So there you go. That's it, guys. That'll fold up out the way, and then it comes down, locks in. I'll bring you down so you can actually see that drop down. Alright guys, as you can see, they're 40mm higher and obviously sticking out now, so hopefully them should overcome a problem catching the pannier, and I can still fold them out the way, look, when I don't need them. Alright, let's do the other side. Alright guys, so I brought you down at a different angle so you can actually see. As I say, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the plate, knowing that the plate goes that way. Just put a spread of grease on there, just so that that holds there for me and sticks in. It just helps me. We'll get the other again. Just put a little bit of grease inside that hole or on the spring, whatever you choose. Just to hold it in place. And again, a little bit of grease on top of that spring, which will hold my ball bearing in place, and then feed that into there, which is the tricky part, keeping everything in one go. So you go slide it, trying to show you without getting my hands in the way. That's like that. So I'm going to leave it in that bottom hole, put my pin through, a little bit of jiggling about. Looks like that plate's not lining up properly. There we go. Got it. So just a little bit of lining up with that plate inside there. Washer onto the bottom. And I can't actually see from this angle, but I'm hoping I might be able to get behind you guys. Yeah, you can see cotter pin through the hole. As I say, it's wise to just replace them. They're only cheap, but they're worthwhile. So that's folded out the way, as you can see, and then folded. That one's a little bit tight on the. That's it. That's locked. I'm sure that'll work. A bit of wear, but there you go. That's it. Simple. Hopefully that will keep her happy. Fantastic, guys. There we go. Another simple little project. Happy riding. Thanks for watching. Fantastic.